Hey guys, Chris here again, and I want to talk something about something a little bit different now. As you can probably tell if I'm watching my channel, I'm not one of those haters. Now, as you can see, I do have this game. I've played the game. I still give it a 10. I mean, seriously, I love this game. I mean, if it wasn't for like the glitches on this game, I mean, this would seriously be a perfect, almost perfect game. And when people talk badly about these games or this game in particular, I just don't even know what the hell they're talking about besides the glitches in the game, to be frank. I even heard a complaint from somebody on YouTube that you didn't have choice in this game. And I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Like, when you start the game, you can either go around, fuck around, you can play the story, or you just fuck around. You can do the side missions, whatever, with this game. And you can basically just do what you want. I mean, there's like three different like types of selections for your character, like street kid, government, and then there's like another one that you could select, and whichever one you pick is kind of basically the same story, just with different dialogue that you can choose whether to use or not. Again, it comes down to choice if you want to use the dialogue or not. And that's really the only difference, really, with those, choices on that. But other than that, I mean, you could just do what you want. I also heard, complaints about, the story not being very long. And, again, how should I put this? I don't think that some of the people making complaints about this game really know what an RPG is. I think that, sometimes because, it takes a long time for these RPGs to come out and get made. There's a lot of content on these games. There's a lot of detail to them. There's lots of side quests. And so it takes a really long time for them to make games like this. They don't just come out every year. And so when they do come out, a new generation of gamers gets to see what this RPG is and learns about RPGs. And so when they go into it, they don't know what to expect. And, they criticize the people that make the game because sometimes these RPGs are just they're a bit of a glitchy mess in short. And sometimes things don't really work. I mean, just like, for instance, sometimes my save data gets corrupted. But that's only my latest save that gets corrupted. It doesn't, corrupt any of the other saves on my game, thankfully. It is an issue, but at least not something that's so game-breaking bad, although it is pretty annoying sometimes. But again, I've just had so much fun with this game. There has never been an RPG city format that is cyberpunk like this. I mean, there have been other cyberpunk games, but not anything like this. Like, not anything like this. So, I mean, if you dislike the game, I mean, you have your right to hate it. I'm not, like, getting onto you for that, for having an opinion on a game, at least. But I just think it's so funny how much these people are complaining and bitching at this game. I mean, God, I remember back in the N64 days, back when they did legitimately have to finish these games. But that's only because they had to finish them. And even when they did come out with them, sometimes they weren't really finished. And back then, they didn't really have a way to update the game after it came out. Because this is still the early days of the internet. And, they're kind of working things out with the internet, But yeah, back then they legitimately had to finish the game, and even then there was still bugs in the games, actually, even when they were finished. And again, you know, they just couldn't update them like they can nowadays. They just can't. They just couldn't. And now this guy here, he is a so-called world-renowned supercar designer. He reacts to Cyberpunk 2077 vehicles. Now, I guess I might put this video in the link below, or should I say, I will put a link in the description. Sometimes my words get backwards, but come on. I have to go in and you guys kind of need to hear what this guy says, because what he says is completely true. Now just listen to what he says.
We've finally reached 100,000 subscribers. Amazing. Never thought we'd reach it, but we have, and we're on our way into the new year where we're going to be offering you a lot more mind-blowing content.
We'll get there.
We're going to raise the bar quite a bit over what you've seen this year. A big reason why we've reached 100,000 subscribers is because of GTA, Grand Theft Auto. So my first idea was to listen to you guys. You've been asking for it. You want to see Cyberpunk 2077 as a critique from my design point of view. It's going to be a blast talking about them, and sit back, buckle up, and let's have some fun.
In 2077, they voted my city the worst place to live in America. Main issues, sky-high rate of violence, and more people living below the poverty line than anywhere else.
Yeah, it's getting there. Oh my god, an ad. Jesus Christ.
There have been a few glitches. We all know about that.
Here we go.
Here's the fact. It happens all the time. Get used to it. There's always going to be a development period, and you're always going to be pushed by management to bring it out sooner rather than later. I've experienced it myself. I remember working on a project with McLaren, the very first one we put out as a road car, which was the MP4-12C. And at the last minute, the supplier of the software system pulled out, and we didn't really have any kind of sat-nav infotainment system available. And the car had to be launched. We had our launch dates fixed. We launched it, and we got all kinds of flack from the press, but we had to bring the car out, and it took us a while to get the bug sorted out, but we managed to do it. And again, after we managed to do it, it was one of the best systems of all time. I would rate it pretty highly, but at the same time, it took us a while to get it right. So for the moment, I think from a design critique, we've got enough meat to bite into. There's enough to talk about. They've certainly dreamt up a lot of interesting directions here. It's going to be a blast. Look at it this way.
All right. Like I said, I'll put a link of that video in the description here right after I make this video, but generally speaking, that's what goes on when it comes to developing these video games as well. It's not just with video games, as you just saw. It's also with cars, buildings, etc. That's just how it is nowadays. It's even like that with, of course, computers, like my computer here. You know, at some point, they've got to come out with these computers, these games, etc. Sure, they could probably put a little more work onto it, but you see, they've got to make money at some point. They've got to come out with it at some point, because these games and these computers, our systems that we played the games on, are never going to be perfect. They never are going to be perfect. I mean, shit, on PSN, we get updates to get our backgrounds and everything changed all the time. Either that, or somebody will find a way to hack the system, and then there needs to be an update for that, etc. Now, I thought it was so funny because they also compared this game to other games in the past that were so glitchy. In the past, actually. I mean, in the game Witcher, when the game Witcher came out, you know, which is another game that these guys made, that wasn't really perfect either. I remember playing it a bit, actually, in the past when it first came out, and the game was maybe not as glitchy as this game was, but it was kind of glitchy, and you tell it wasn't really done. And another thing, how should I put this in a way that you can understand? Like, we're just going to have to deal with it, is the best way I guess I could put it. We are just going to have to deal with it. These games and these, at this day and age, are just going to come out a little bit unfinished. Now, do I think that this game should have at least had a little more work on it done before, it launched? Sure. But at the same time, this game took like over 8 years to make. Over 8 years. And you've also got to think about how this has got to be one of the shittiest years I've ever experienced. It's been a shitty ass year for everybody. Now, some of the team that made Cyberpunk 2077 aren't just in America. They're in Europe, they're in Japan. I mean, they're all in different countries, this team that made this game. And when COVID-19 pandemic hits, it didn't exactly make it easy on them to make this game. Because they've been out of their offices for the whole year while trying to continue to make this game. And on top of that, they don't have the staff because of that to test this game properly, especially in this case. And so what a lot of companies have to resort to is that they need more data. They need more information so that they can fix all these bugs. You could go through the same hallway, let's say, in this game, like it over 1,000 times in games like this, and there will still be bugs in that area. That's what it's like making these types of games. What they did with this game is amazing. That it came out like it did at launch, to be frank. I'm surprised it even did as well as it did. Especially with the way that they overhyped it. They do this all the fucking time. They overhype a game, they come out with it, and then everybody's disappointed. And the gaming community is possibly the easiest community to disappoint. I swear. Even just over little itty-bitty shit. Just little things. I mean, this has to be the best RPG that I've played in at least a decade? And then here I am hearing all these people, oh, this and that, this is a terrible game because of this and that. I mean, whatever your opinion is, I guess. I mean, if that's your opinion, you hate this game, I mean, so be it, but that's just how it is nowadays. These games are just going to come out unfinished, no matter what game it is. And, of course, I've been also hearing shit like, oh, they lied about, CD Red lied about this and that. And I hate to tell you the reality of this when it comes to making video games, man, but I know, I'm just shaking my head here. All of these companies lie. I don't know if any of you have noticed. I mean, just anybody that's been a gamer for more than a year or two now, you have to come to realize that every one of these gaming companies lies. They overhype shit and they lie. And then people expect so much from them. They expect so much from something that is just a video game. These video games are just supposed to fix their lives or change their lives or something. Which is what seems like what some gamers seem to expect nowadays. When, in reality, these things are just a game. You can only do so much with a video game. And again, it's just amazing what they're able to do with video games nowadays. But again, it's still just a game. That being said, I guess I'll just stop there. You guys can even lay down your opinions and stuff down below. It's okay, I can handle it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.